Hello, I want to speedrun this one, so let's get into it. Um, one of the basically the most commonly adopted approach that everyone uses for trying to figure out anything and do anything is trial and error. What is the algorithm for that? It is a simple uh, warmer or colder. It's like I do this. Does it give me a positive or a negative response? If it gives me a negative response, then I don't do it. If it gives me a positive response, I do more of it. Or if it gives me a negative one, I do the opposite of it, right? And if I do something positive, I I avoid doing the opposite of it, right? It seems very simple and seems very foolproof. You would think, well, yeah, if I always just adopted behaviors that are incrementally better, then my life would eventually just progress, and I would you know, how could that not be uh, how can that be a bad thing? And I mean, compared to not having any uh, logic applied, if it's completely random or some shit, then yeah, this approach is already going to put you at a severe advantage compared to vast majority of people. And that's some common sense that we're lacking in modern world. That is really good compared to average. Um, but it is not even remotely close to being the most effective way. And what I want to uh, introduce is something I'm gonna term as the tree search or tree derivation approach. And this algorithm is categorized by uh, instead of how should I say visually, if I were to express this algorithm, this approach, it looks a little bit like um, oh, observe yourself at a given point. Let's say you, and there is some range of actions that you can do, and you don't really pay attention to them. This is your perspective, and you just go hotter or colder from what is most local to you, which is fine, I guess. Um, what tree derivation tries to do is, and what you're trying to do is trying to find a sweet spot within this graph where everything works for you. So let's say the sweet spot is here, right? And you start moving a little bit, to the left. You're like, oh, it's starting to get worse. Then you move to the right, and you feel like it's getting better. It's getting better until you find yourself on the sweet spot. That's in theory how it's supposed to work, how it finds the sweet spot, right? Here, the tree derivation approach is, let's say, the sweet spot can or cannot be here. That's first of all, okay. I'm not gonna go that high level yet. First, so the tree derivation is about mapping out the constraints of um, certain ideas and splitting them up into trees of effect. So, for example, there might be two main branches of thinking which map to two separate ranges of experiences within. So, for example, I'm not going to give examples yet. So, it branches out, right? And uh, you know what? We'll keep that. And you could say it branches out here, and then it branches again, and you could express uh, let's express it like so, right? So you can infinitely branch within each kind of approach or experience or idea, whatever you're looking for, um, and keep splitting them in half and deciding hot or cold based on these halves, right? Kind of a little bit of this. So you're not searching horizontally. You're going, when you find yourself at a certain spot, you try to go up a branch and narrow down your decision to something higher level that will have a greater degree of consequence, a greater impact, right? So instead of making these small incremental steps, you're making super big steps initially, and then they derive. So for example, let's say you're trying to do something very simple. I am trying to buy a car, right? And then you're like, do I want this car to be fast? I'm just going completely arbitrary. I don't really care about cars. I don't know much about this. Do I want this car to be fast? And you could go yes or no. Positive, negative. Let's just do that to save time. Yes or no. Um, and then you're like, okay, let's say I want my car to be fast. Do I need it to, uh, how many people will I need to carry in this car? And it's like, well, I'm planning of using it for this, this, and this, and I will need maybe this much space for storage. So now I know I need a fast car with a lot of storage. And now, I if I were to go without thinking about this, I'll just look at cars and just randomly almost try to vibe my way into finding the right car. But here, I've already narrowed it down into a small subset of cars that are fast and have a high amount of storage. And then, now that I've narrowed it down, let's say there isn't any further I can narrow it down, then I apply trial and error within this limited range, which will save me time from needing to even consider all of the other ones. I don't need to spend cognitive resources even thinking about this. I don't need to analyze, I don't need to worry about all the other cars because they aren't fast and they don't have a high amount of storage. Or they don't fit both of those conditions. Maybe they fit one. And now that I figured out that I need those two things, I can find something that matches that demand, that desire, right? So effectively, I can do a quarter of the work and arrive to the solution 4 times faster just by being able to split it up like this. And this type of thinking is extremely unintuitive to humans. Why is it unintuitive? It does require a higher degree of awareness and intelligence to actually put this into practice. Why? Because number one, when you're going into the car dealership, you need to know what you want, and to know what you want, you need to know what is important in a car, and you need to understand the concept of a car and how you intend to use it and things like that. If you're a complete beginner and you have no idea what the fuck you want, you're not able to create those filters, those demands that would allow you to isolate your selection. So you're literally going to be forced to trial and error. Let me just try this car. And then you start experiencing some issues like, oh, this car doesn't have enough space for all the things I need. Okay, then let me try a different car. Okay, I got the car with the space, but this car is like a little bit slow. Okay, then let me try another car, right? So it might take you more iterations to actually get into this zone. And another thing is, a lot of the time when you're testing things through perspective, you're not actually, how should I say, like you might realize, oh, I like this car better, but you might not have the intelligence to kind of justify it to yourself what component of that car allowed you to enjoy it better. So, for example, there might be a trend that, let's say you've had 100 cars, and out of the 100 cars, the ones that you like the most are the ones with a lot of storage and are fast. But you, as you're going through each car, you, without like going back and retrospectively and analyzing it or reflecting on that, you will never realize that that's what you want, and you will have like some vague idea of what you want, but you will not have a precise kind of insight into what to look for. You will just think, you'll have this kind of intuition, but it won't be as conscious and it won't be as well defined, which is kind of like it will be vague and it won't allow you to narrow down your future attempts as effectively because even though you did like those cars, you don't actually have the data, you haven't parsed it out to figure out that it is those two factors that are important to you. You might just be like, I don't know, and then you just keep trying cars until you find one that you like, which for a lot of things will eventually work. The issue is how long it takes that, and the other issue that occurs is sometimes we're raised in culture and environments where our perspectives are limited by whatever segment that we have been bound to. For example, let's say you are looking for something that is like the thing that is perfect for you is actually okay. Let's do something like this. Okay, let's assume that you, for some reason, are already looking. Let's split this into fast. Uh, we can just go fast, slow, and then within fast and slow, there's going to be cars with storage, and then no, right? That's kind of how it would split up, and it would split for each, segment, right? So you might be looking already within a context that already previously got um, limited to. So you might be only looking at fast cars, and you're looking for ones with storage or with no storage, right? Or you might be looking at slow cars. If, just for the sake of this example, I'm going to say slow cars, right? One of the components is already wrong within the range that you're searching inside. And when you're searching inside of this range, yes, you're going to find that there are some cars that are better than others. I'm gonna just make this green, make this red. Some fit your criteria better, but so there's a sweet spot within this range, but the level of sweet spot that exists within this range compared to a different range might not be comparable. Um, so let's say this is the slow and this is the fast, right? You're looking for what would make you happy is a fast car with a lot of storage, and you're looking only within the range of cars that are slow for and, and you might not even realize, but you're like subconsciously or intuitively just filtering them for storage. That's what you're using as main metric. And I don't know, for whatever reason, your perspective might be limited or, uh, yeah, limited to a certain range, you will never cross this range because you a lot of the time you won't cross it because you won't even realize it exists. You won't even realize that that's a thing. Because to even realize that something exists, you need to go up the tree and realize that it exists in the first place. Like, for example, when you go up a mountain, you get to see, a way more perspective. Tree searching works that way also. When you are low down, the amount of context, the amount of things you can see is going to be limited to things below you. The higher you go, the more things you can assess, and the greater impact they will have. So, trial and error, um, a lot of the time will lead you to be stuck in a certain range, and you'll keep refining within this range. You'll find the perfect slow car. You'll find the best slow car, but the amount of value or that you're able to get out of it will not compare to the perfect fast car. And because of that, you will basically reach a hard limit that you will keep sort of slightly improving on, but it will be less and less at each step. If you feel like your im effort is yielding less and less and less, and you feel like your things you're doing are yielding very little, and very little is changing, that means you have gotten yourself stuck in a certain range. Um, and there is no real way out of it. And that's kind of the flaw with trial and error. Um, it takes longer. It potentially gets you stuck in a certain range. And for new things, you're not able to uh, pick them up as fast because you haven't, derived conclusions. You haven't found rules of or metrics what um, the important components of things. There is an advantage to trial and error, which it has over tree derivation, which is trial and error is consistent in a sense that yes, it's slower, but it's also much closer to your own uh, locus of perspective, like your own view range, which allows you to more accurately see if something's better or not. So being able to kind of trial and error and like shrink your perspective is useful. It has its advantages because it allows you to make more reliable, more consistent decisions. While the tree derivation can, let's say you make a mistake at one of these steps, right? One mistake could make send you, or let's say I make two mistakes here, right? I need a fast car with good storage, but I make two mistakes. I go slow car with no storage, and I end up here, right? I am going to be so fucking far away from where I want to be that it will have dramatic impact, and that's might theoretically even destroy my life, right? I might uh, go completely out of control or get really far away from where I want to be. And in that sense, it is dangerous. It is so powerful that you can fuck it up to a great degree. Same way you can't with trial and error. But, um, I mean, it's also the only way to get out of complete shithole. Let's say you are in this shithole, it's a lot faster to just go up it two trees and figure out where you want to be and then start building from here instead of slow like imagine if you're super far away from where you want to be. If you start making those incremental trial and error types of steps, it's going to take you so fucking long to get to where you want to be. It's going, even assuming that you don't have this thing with like limited perspective, which you will. Um, Imagine that doesn't happen for some reason, right? Um, I don't know how you would even realize that this exists. It's like imagine you're in fucking China or some shit, right? And uh, you have some landmass or whatever, and then there's I don't know how geographically correct this is. I also don't care. Um, and you have some I don't know water, right? And you have never traveled across the water, and you've never seen anyone travel from water to you, right? Let's say this is super long ago, right? I don't know when ships were invented or ones that could travel that far. Um, or for example, America, how it was like disconnected from the rest of the world, right? You don't know that America exists, and to you, all you have perceived is water. And how are you supposed to create a strategy that goes, am I getting closer to America or not? If you don't even know that it exists in the first place. And that is kind of the problem with trial and error. If your perspective is naturally going to be limited to something, um, and no amount of trial and error will open up unknown unknowns. Like you don't even know that you don't know that America exists. And whatever. But let's say for some reason this was like already filled in. You know that America exists. Then yeah, even in that case, it's gonna take you super long to get there. Which, uh, personally, what I think makes way more sense is do the tree derivation, right? And then do trial and error, um, or apply some of the trial and error thinking to the tree derivation. So let's say you get into a segment, within the segment you can do some trial and error because it's trivial, it doesn't really matter, and trying to do a tree derivation of these micro segments might yield so little results compared to the amount of effort it takes you to actually figure this out. There is a cost associated with going up the tree or whatever, or like splitting things into a tree, that it might just not be worth it. For example, there might be multiple colors of a car, right? And the question is like, well, color of a car isn't something that you need to go and like, let me look at the colorology or whatever. Like, let me look at the science behind colors of cars and psychological impact that colors have on people. Like, bro, you can just trial and error that. It's like it's just so not significant. It's so not important that you don't need to nerd that shit out, right? There are parts of things that just don't require tree derivation. It's just like overkill for the job. It's like I don't know. You're trying on some new clothes. You could sit there and like, let me study fashion across the last 100 years. No, bro, just try some clothes. Like it's not making that big of an impact, so just try some shit. And it's not like you're or you're gonna benefit tremendously from figuring out fashion in the last 100 years. I mean, to someone it might be, but to the vast majority of us, it's just waste of resources. It doesn't matter. But because that doesn't apply to everything. There are some things, there are concepts in our life that are so high leverage, so important, so impactful that we need to get them right. And um, trial and error is just not um, ideal for them. Okay, I think I've explained this. Um, I'm not shitting on trial and error. I just think there's better ways of doing it. I want to explain it in another way. I want to explain it in terms of programming algorithms. Um, Trial and error is kind of like linear search. Linear search. I'm just flexing my that I've been doing the programming course, bro. And the way linear search works is, let's say you have a list. filled with nodes or whatever, and you're trying to find a value that you're looking for, you check every single one in a one direction, and once you find it, then whoa, I'm going here. Perfect. Uh, then you have binary search, which is kind of like you check the middle and you're like, huh, do I go left or do I go right? And the values need to be sorted before. That's kind of the issue with binary search. You need to sort it, like it needs to be in order before that. Linear search works if the values are not in order, right? You can check every single one and it will work even if they're not in order. Let's say you're looking for 4 or something, right? They're not in order, linear search works. Binary search wouldn't work for this because binary search requires on the list to be ordered like this uh, before you even start. And this little detail applies to this. Like, you need to be able to split the concepts and actually parse them into their individual segments and organize them in an effective way to apply tree derivation. And that's a hard part. That is why, for a vast majority of people, trial and error is more optimal because if they tried to do tree derivation, it wouldn't work because their algorithm they forgot to sort it. They forgot to sort their um, they don't have proper ways of sorting their results. They don't know how to order them properly. Okay, but I'll keep explaining binary search. So let's say, whatever, I'm not gonna write the rest. You have a list, and you're trying to find a number. Let's say I'm looking for free. I will be like, well, uh, okay, okay, and I'm looking for free. I'm gonna check midpoint, which is gonna be, I don't know if I'm gonna check the left one or right one, doesn't really matter. Let's say I can, uh, fuck it, for sake of an example, I'll just, I'm gonna check 5, and I'm gonna be like, is 5 greater or less than 3? And then you're like, okay, 5 is more than 3, therefore I can eliminate all of these because they're all gonna be greater, and then I can check 3. Is 3 equal to 3? Yes, okay, I got lucky, I find mine. But let's say I was looking for 2, right? Then I'm like, is 2 greater than 3? Uh, no. So we can eliminate this, and we can also eliminate 3. And it's like, you get the idea, right? You're eliminating things, and um, in the end, you end up being able to search things with a lot of results uh, in a much faster way. It's going to take way less steps. Linear search is better for really short arrays, or the difference is not noticeable for very simple, very short examples. Maybe it's even faster because you don't need to sort, but binary search dominates for ones that are very complex, very long. And for us to be able to apply these algorithms to finding the optimal way, we kind of need to reverse. We need to apply them in opposite way. It's very difficult to like find where you are. Let's say you are like in real life it doesn't play out like this. It plays out more like you are an 8 and you want to become a 3. So what do you need to do? Like how do you go from an 8 to a 3? Trial and error is like, well, just start traversing it um one slot at a time, right? Well, the tree is the equivalent of, okay, all I'm gonna do is find the range that I am able to perceive and then split it in half. So I would split. it in half from here and be like, okay, I'm trying to find free. And then you'll be like, okay. And then you can apply binary search. But to do that, you need to observe a lot of other people. In real life, what does that look like? Observing other cultures, considering other people's points of view, uh, being open-minded, parsing a lot of information, learning a lot of new things. And only by doing that, you allow yourself to have a more complete understanding, which allows you to make more accurate conditions for how to search. If you, let's say, you're, again, with the China uh, or the American being unknown example, uh, let's say you're only aware of this and you know you want the free, you're going to split where you're up, let's say this range that you're aware of, and you're going to be like, where's the free? And you're going to be like, well, this is closer to free, but this is too much for a free. I mean, to be honest, are you even gonna know that? Fuck, this example falls apart because you don't even know what the free looks like in practice, in reality. So I can't really demonstrate it. But in real life, it's not as simple as just comparing numbers. In real life, it would require way more skills. It would require for you to be able to assess value of things in a deterministic and uh, linear way. So, for example, you could rank the kind of experiences that you enjoy. Emotion. Let's just say emotions that you enjoy doing, right? I enjoy uh, laughing or some shit. Or let's go activities that you enjoy, right? Oh, what the fuck? Laughing, swimming, and whatever the fuck the other one is. I don't know. Racing, professional racist, right? Uh, and you, let's say you were to like this seems like very unobjective and very random. It's like, oh, enjoy doing these things, but you can actually split them up within yourselves and rank them based on how much, uh, how you respond to them. And if you were to rank them and create this objective comparison, so for example, um, laughing is above racing, then now you could convert it into numbers, and then those numbers you could actually use, you know, to compare to other things. So, for example, when I'm with this person, I like doing these things. With another person, uh, I also like doing the same things. But then I could compare how much I enjoy doing them with person A or person B, and then I could use that to kind of evaluate who I like spending my time more with, right? And that allows you to make objective and consistent arguments when or justifications for things that you're trying and lets you increment productively. Okay, I'm not gonna expand on this further. That's for you to think. Okay, I go chill. Bye bye.